London Living with Rizwan Rashid, and your host Rizwan is here tonight with an immigrant story. A story that helps you inspire, motivate you to feel good about, as we all from Southeast Asia, from Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka moved here to the new world, to the new society, to the new culture, new weather, new language, trying to adapt to different things. And while we do this, we go into that survival mode. And in most survival mode, we look success as a far-fetched reality. And while some of us come with family to start up with the new life with our own families, and thinking about all those child that go through this change, it must be hard on them. And today's immigrant story, which I'm going to share with you, is a story of a child who moved with their parent to a new world, new country. She faced some sort of racism, some sort of bullying in her life as a child, as part of, you call it cultural shock, as part of that the other people have facing now and being a big voice, the child were facing it. And at that time, she didn't even have a support because there was not enough immigrant. And now we have. While we still have that, we still face some sort of loneliness in that department and how to survive. And I want to share with you the story of a child who moved here quite some time ago as a child, and she faced bullyism from her class fellows. And that bullyism led her not only to, in terms of loneliness, but she became even stronger. Moving further as a child to adulthood, and she got married. She got married within her own religion, within her own culture, and then she also faced another atrocity, a relationship breakup. And during that time, she was able to survive and being the supporter of her life and of her children. And with that, she started to finding her own why. This is an amazing story of survival to thrive. And I want you to see and live with my guest today, because I want to understand the what is that mindset of that child who was going through this trauma, who was going through this bullyism, who was going through this different part of her life where she was able to thrive. She was able to have her sanity, and then with that sanity, she kept moving forward. So help me welcome my guest tonight is Alka Sharma. Alka Sharma is a CEO of Alka Total Fitness, and we'll talk about all that. Welcome to the show, Alka Sharma.
Thank you, Rizwan. Always a pleasure to be on your show.
Thank you so much. Alka, at London Living with Rizwan Rashid, we talk about how an immigrant changed their life and how they changed for themselves and for others. As an immigrant, I know you moved here quite some time, but before that, you had a very powerful story that I wanted our listener to understand and see how a little girl actually was very strong right from the beginning. As you grew up in London, UK, I believe,
yes.
then you were been bullied, and you have seen a different part of the world with different avenues. So can you share with us your life trajectory right in London, UK, and when you moved here to Canada?
Absolutely. Each and every one of us, we all have a story. So for me, it's nothing different. But so I grew up most of my life in England, and my parents and we moved from Africa because I was born in Africa. So we moved in 1972, and at that time, there was a lot of racial groups happening. We had the Mods, the skinheads, and they were called people names.
Yeah.
So I was growing up in that area, in that era. A lot of these racial groups were happening. So even at school, not to say that, I was bullied. I was bullied not for any racial discrimination, not for anything, but I was just picked on because of my weight. I was a child that was a little bit different. And so I was bullied. I had acne, wore glasses, and had short hair. So I was bullied because I was different. And it just so happened I was bullied because of that. And so over the time, I could relate. Not that anything racial was said to me or done to me, but I could relate that how it feels when people are picked on racially amongst the racial groups. So for me, being bullied as a child because of my weight, and I struggled with weight for a long time. But I made it my mission, though, Rizwan, I made it my mission to really change. Because even though we are bullied, even though we may be picked on, that child, though, sometimes can get, suppressed and feels like, okay, there's no way out. And they just keep that amongst themselves, withdrawn internally. So I don't think that's a good thing. So for me, I found a way. I knew there was a better way. I knew there was a way for me to really stand out. And when I say stand out, was really have a voice, be a voice to other people, whether it be immigrants, be other people, so they don't feel left behind, that they don't feel that they're not part of a group. So I think it's very important to be felt part of a group.
I wanted to interrupt and want to ask you, because this is a very key point. As an immigrant in any part of the world, especially with the child, they see a different world. They have to adapt to different things. And you saw that firsthand, maybe not racially or anything else, but you have seen that a different side of the people, and you faced it. At what age you were facing this age? Because I want other people to understand at what age you were facing this discrimination, the people bullied at you.
I was 15. So if you can imagine, at the age of 15, I was being witnessed to these racial groups, because in the 70s, we had the mods, the skinheads, and they were saying, oh, every one of you guys, you just go home. So I was witness to that. And so if you could just imagine, a child who's been witness to that, being seen firsthand, things happening, these groups, these racial gangs were really tormenting other immigrants coming into the UK or other part of the Western world. And so being witness to that, I said, okay, you know what, enough that was happening to me, but I didn't want that to happen to me. And I did not want that to happen to any other immigrants that were coming into the country. So I wanted to be a voice. And so for me, I made that my mission. I just turned myself. I said, okay, you know what? I have to change how I was internally. And so from that, I, worked out. I went to a gym. I began working out, and I was building my self-esteem. So whether we as immigrants, we come into the Western world, and although we may not be felt that we are made to feel part of a certain group or in that country with people, but then it's not to let yourself be withdrawn. And I think that's a key point too, that we mustn't let ourselves do that.
So this is good for other people to learn. And maybe I'm going to ask you, so Alka, in your class, were you the only one as an immigrant, or there were more people? And did you had a support group, or you were alone? That's a crucial.
No, I was alone, because in the 70s it was WASPy, so they're all white, and so I was the only. There were one or two, but majority were whites. Yeah, British.
So this is good point, because I wanted to have this a real picture to other people, because now in any of the immigrant population, there's more than one or two. It means that they have a support group. They can relate to others. But Alka was almost alone in her class, and she immigrated, and she is facing this kind of a bullyism. So people just note how she actually survived, and then she took a plea that how I'm going to change myself, and in fact that in the near future she's changing everybody's life and helping them to transform. This is very crucial to understand as an immigrant, because this is a story of most of us that face one way or another atrocities and we feel alone. So you're not alone. There's a number of people, and there are a number of people who survived, and from survival to success is a little trajectory. And this is what I wanted to point out or highlight at Alka's story for you to understand. So Alka, so fast forward, you moved to Canada, but then there's another thing you have faced also in your relationship. Would you be able to share? I know it's very hard to share personal side of it, but we share our story with other people so people know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. We still can survive. We still can thrive, no matter what happened.
Absolutely. You know what? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you are in your life at that time, at the present time, because survivor, and I just wanted to touch base on what you had just mentioned, that success and thriving, to survive, you have to thrive. Mm-hmm. You have to thrive. You have to climb those mountains in order to really be successful in every which way, in every aspect of your life. So for me, success, when it came to, then when I moved to Canada, I got married, and in the midst of the relationship, sometimes relationships, happen, everyone is fine at the moment, but then when things don't go the way you expect, and so what do you do? And the fundamental that I want to share with your viewers is that when things just don't go the way you expect, the way you envisioned your relationship to be, is not the end of the world. And that is what I want to share with your viewers. It's not the end of the world, because the moment you conceptualize and you say, and your mindset goes to, oh my gosh, you know what, my relationship is broken. We have these mind chatters going on all the time. That's where some women crumble, because they let themselves go. They believe that. And Rizwan, that is the key thing, is believing. Once you believe that you are no better than anyone else, defeat is gone. You've defeated, you've accepted defeat. And I didn't want that, because I knew for me, although my relationship was ending, I knew there was something better out there.
Beautiful. It's a powerful thing what you said, that believing in yourself, and no matter what, I think I'm even out of gender, no matter girl or boy, feel really apart, like they feel end of the world is happening when especially our relationship which we believe is going to last long, is believed they're going to take her for a while, believed to be that taking to the next level, and then certainly they are not working out. So now you already have seen, and I'm sure there would be more. And I'm glad, Alka, you sharing with this, because I wanted to see from that perspective that an immigrant who was bullied in the beginning, when they moved to a new world, new society, new culture, and then later she moved again, and now she's starting the new life, and then that also fell apart. Now, as a girl, it must be devastating for you to understand or actually cope up with all those things and still carry on with your life. Not only you carry on with life, but you actually made a whole lot of other movement. So walk us through that. At that time in Canada, did you had support system here? Because your mom and dad still in UK.
In the UK, yes.
And this is the new life. Have you had support here in Canada that you can depend on?
No, I didn't. And that was another key factor in my life, is that I had no support in every area of my life. And Rizwan, what do we do? what I want to share with your viewers is something that is mind-blowing. Is whether you're, women especially, I'm targeting to your viewers, because it doesn't matter what nationality you are, you as an immigrant in a Western world, whether you don't have support or you have support. So for example, say you don't have support. Like I had no support even in Canada when I was living here. I had no support. I was abandoned. I was like, okay, we don't want to know you. So, but what did I do? And the thing is, the key point is choice. We have a choice. So whether that's, whether it's a positive, you always have to be optimistic. And as women, we have to have a choice, and that choice is to really be our own weapon. And what I mean by that is we have to have the ammunition and to really be confident. The confidence, our ammunition is our confidence. Once we begin to demise the self-esteem and the confidence, once that diminishes, you have nothing left. You have no surface to go above. And so that's what I want your viewers, the women audience, is to just be able to recognize who you are. Because you are the most important person that everyone in the community, whether it's family, friends, is going to lean on. And if you are gone, like if I had just diminished, there'd be nothing left. My kids would not know, okay, what's going to happen? How are we going to feed ourselves? But because I already envisioned myself to be something greater, be something better as an immigrant, but also to be surviving in a country that I was new in and that I was already beginning to feel left out, already was. But I didn't make it, but I made it a choice that I was not going to let that happen. I was going to rise above to mediocrity. I was going to rise above to any noise that was happening around me. And I did not want to let that go. And I just let that go. And I said, okay, you know what? Enough is enough. As long as I know I'm enough, that is enough. And that's what women need to just take note of, is to notice your inner shining light, your inner weapon. And what is your inner weapon? Is your confidence. That is going to take you a long way.
Wow. And I'm sure this confidence is not easy to come. And I'm sure you, the viewers, are looking at it and probably in the awe moment that how is that possible? That woman has been broken several times through our life, and she's telling us, be confident, you are your own weapon, pick your battle and go for it, because you are worth it. And you are worth it. Everybody's worth it in this life, as long as they believe in themselves. Alka, so yeah. You don't have anybody, you don't have a support system here, but you started a new vision by believing in yourself. At that time, were you employed? Were you working? Or you had your own business? Or you just started after that?
No, I was working. I had a 9-to-5 job. I was just traveling downtown, and so I was doing that grind, as most of us, we have 9-to-5 jobs, and I had two small kids. I had two small kids that I was looking after, but I made it my mission, though, Rizwan, is that, I have my kids, but I need to feed my kids. I need to feed myself. I need to look after my kids. So I had to work. I took jobs, and I was employed. I had 3-4 different jobs, and I was on that grind. And although life was not comfortable, life is never comfortable. Life is always a learning curve, and life is never a straight line. So for your viewers is to know that, life is never going to be a straight line. People, yourself, you're going to say, talk yourselves out of doing things, and you're not going to be comfortable. But I had to face that. And that's when true living comes in, is when you are at the worst moments in your life. That's where the cream starts to rise. Because with every ship, the waves have to go above. And so when the cream starts to rise, that's when you know is you are living. You are truly living, and you are truly living your purpose, how it's meant to be lived.
Mhm.
And so as I was doing my 9-to-5 jobs, I was, had 2 small kids, but over time, gradually life, after you've been in a traumatic relationship, what trauma that's happened to you,
Mhm.
life is not going to start to get better overnight.
Yeah.
It takes time. And there's a lot of self-work that you have to do internally yourself.
Mhm.
Right? So I had to do a lot of soul searching. I had to do a lot of inner work.
Mhm.
And I'm telling you, it wasn't easy. It was not easy. There were times I wanted to give up, but I just said, you know what? That's not my mission to give up.
So I was coming to this point, Alka. So you're already in the grind, just like most of us, that you have a job, you have small kids, and relationships broken. Now, you're still going on in order to make sure that there's enough food on the table, and then there's a roof on the head, so the life continues. So you opted to keep the grind on while maintaining your self-sanity, working throughout. How long it took you to get out of this, this mindset that I have to do it everything, and I'm going to do it in a different way, that I'm going to be able to thrive in this area of my life. I'm sure most of us, and why I'm saying this, how long, because it depends on different people.
Mm-hmm.
Some people give up in 1 week, another person 1 month, 2 months, 1 year.
Yes.
The story of survival is long, and this is where you have to be proud of the process, go through, and
Mm-hmm.
be able to go to the next level. So
Yeah.
how long your process was that you were in that survival mode?
Exactly. And I just wanted to just touch base on what you had just mentioned, because that was absolutely fantastic, is that, just like fitness is a journey, it's not a destination.
Mm-hmm.
Once you arrive at the destination, once you reach your goals, whether it's to lose a weight, people say, okay, well, I look good. There's nothing left to do now. But there always is.
Mm-hmm.
So just like in our life is always constantly moving. And
Mm-hmm.
as long as you are moving with the tide, you are going to be fine. But the moment your mindset, and that's where it happened for me, it was that mindset switch. And as long as we start to implement and doing the work ourselves and switching that on,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to be fine. So as women, your viewers, if you listen to that part of your voice, that inner voice that says, okay, you know what? I am enough. I am capable. And life is possible, because the mere word impossible is I'm possible.
Yeah.
And I love that. And that has always, Rizwan, stood with me. And I said, isn't that incredible? Because it truly is. Life is always constantly moving. And as long as we are moving with it, we are going to be fine, and we will never be left behind. Because the moment you get left behind, that is the moment that your self-belief, your confidence, your beliefs in every aspect of your life will slowly start to diminish. But once you are starting to crawl and catch up with the perils of your life, you are going to be fine.
Mm-hmm.
So it's defining those moments in your life that really have been more impactful. And when I start to look back, the moments that I've started to impact my life was back in my childhood when I was bullied. Because when it's going through those moments that and I was an immigrant. Also, that was a huge moment in my lifetime that I will never forget, because that's who made me today. The woman I am today was because of my past, was because at 15 years of age, I was witnessed to being in a country in the 70s where the racial discrimination was so high. You had these gangs, the mods, the skinheads were saying, you guys go home.
Yeah.
That was terrible. And I was witness to, not that the racial anything bad was said to me, but I was witness to what was happening to other immigrants, what was being said to them.
So, folks, you just saw, we kind of worked through or understand how Alka went through as an immigrant, as a child, and has become adult, moving from different continents, different countries, and she shared how life was not fair with her, but she was strong enough to move through it. We're going to take a short break and we'll come back and we're going to ask, who is the new Alka? What we know of her now? Why she is being the woman she is now, because she started to transform herself and she became the real Alka, what we know now, and she become the known person all around the world. And that's the story coming up in the second half. Stay tuned. Keep watching London Living with Rizwan. We'll be right back.
London Living with Rizwan Rashid. میں ایک کوئک میسج دینا چاہتا تھا کیونکہ بہت سارے لوگوں نے مجھے یہ ذکر کیا اور بہت سارے اور فورم پہ یہی بات ہو رہی ہے. تو میں آپ کے سامنے آنا چاہتا ہوں, شیئر کرنا یہ چاہ رہا تھا کہ جتنے بھی جو لنڈن میں اسمال بزنس اونرس ہیں, کوئی کسی طرح کا بھی بزنس اونرس ہیں, جن کو دو چیزیں, ایک کہ ان کو ایکسپوجر چاہیے ان کی ریچ بڑھانے کے لیے, اور دوسرا وہ ان کا جو پروڈکٹ اور سروسز ہیں وہ پاکستانی ساؤتھ ایشین کمیونٹی ان جنرل ایک فائدہ مند ہے. تو میں چاہتا ہوں کہ میرا فورم, ٹی وی چینل, ٹی وی پروگرام کسی طرح بھی آپ کی اگر خدمت کر سکتا ہے, آپ کے کام آ سکتا ہے, تو میں حاضر ہوں. میرے پاس بہت سارے لوگ انٹرویوز کے لیے ہیں, لیکن میرا مشن یا میرا ویژن لندن لیونگ پروگرام یا شو کا بالخصوص اپنے پاکستانی بھائیوں کا اور جو لندن میں مقیم ہیں یا ایون تھرو آؤٹ کینیڈا میں ہیں, ان کے لیے تھا کہ میں ان کی لیے کیسے خدمت کر سکتا ہوں. بہت سارے فورم پہ آج کل میری ملاقاتیں ہو رہی ہیں, باتیں ہو رہی ہیں. اسمال بزنس اونرس آر سفرنگ, جیسے ابھی سرب ختم ہو رہا ہے تو ایکٹیویٹیز آر ریڈیوسنگ اگین. تو مجھے معلوم ہے کہ کافی امپیکٹ ہوا ہے. ابھی ریسنٹلی ایک ون آف مائی پارٹنر who has to close their office and مجھے بہت افسوس ہوا کہ یہ ٹائم آیا کہ ان کو آفس کرنا. ابھی کچھ نہ کچھ ان کا بزنس چل رہا ہے, لیکن ظاہر ہے اس نہج پہ نہیں چل رہا کہ دے کین مینٹین این آفس, اور اس کی بہت ساری وجوہات ہو سکتی ہیں. تو جس مجھے یہ ٹریگر ہوا کہ میں اپنے لوگوں میں, اپنے دوستوں میں, اپنی کمیونٹی میں جاتا ہوں کہ کیسے میں آپ کی ہیلپ کر سکتا ہوں, کیسے یہ پروگرام آپ کو ایکسپوجر دے سکتا ہے, کیسے آپ کی سروسز دوسروں کے کام آ سکتی ہیں, کیونکہ ہم ایک دوسرے کی ہی ہیلپ اگر کریں گے تو یقینی طور پہ اس کا کافی فائدہ ہوگا. تو جتنے بھی میرے جاننے والے, سننے والے ہیں, دیکھنے والے ہیں, پیار کرنے والے ہیں اس کمیونٹی میں یا دوسری کسی کمیونٹی میں, جن کا کوئی اسمال بزنس ہے, وہ چاہتے ہیں اس شو میں آنا, آتے ہیں اپنے پروڈکٹ سروسز کو ایکسپوز کرنا. حالانکہ یہ ٹی وی چینل میں, شو میں, دس سیلنگ از ناٹ مائی آئی تھنک پرائمری انٹینشن, نہیں, کبھی بھی نہیں رہا. لیکن دیز آر ڈفرنٹ ٹائمس, اور میں نے کچھ چیزیں کی تھی پچھلے دفعہ بھی, ہم نے ڈیورنگ رمضان اور بہت سارے اسمال بزنس اونر کو سپورٹ کرنے کی کوشش کی تھی. اور ابھی بھی میری خواہش ہے کہ جتنے بھی لوگ ہیں جو सपोर्ट चाहते हैं, जो सपोर्ट उनको की कुछ ना कुछ मदद करे। अगर आप बिजनेस ओनर हैं, आपको चाहिए तो प्लीज बताइए, कमेंट कीजिए यहीं पे, या मुझे डायरेक्ट मैसेज कर सकते हैं, आपके पास मेरे नंबर्स हैं, मेरे राब्ता कर सकते हैं। या आप समझते हैं कि किसी और को चाहिए, वो नहीं पहुंच रहा, तो आप उनको उनका राब्ता मुझसे करवा दे, मैं उन तक पहुंचूंगा। हम ओवर टेली कॉन्फ्रेंसेस या वीडियो कॉल से कर सकते हैं उनकी प्रोडक्ट सर्विसेज को, या उनके पास जाके भी। जो कुछ भी मुझसे बन पड़ा, मैं तैयार हूँ आपके काम आने के लिए, और स्पेशली स्मॉल बिजनेस ओनर, बिकॉज मुझे बहुत पसंद है जो लोग अपना कारोबार कर रहे हैं। वो इसलिए क्योंकि वो अपने पैशन को प्रोफेशन में कन्वर्ट किया, उन्होंने अपना पैसा, हिम्मत, जवानी, जज्बा, जुनून, सारी चीजें उस कारोबार में डाली हैं, किसी वजह से डाली हैं, और वो वजह उसको जिंदा रहना चाहिए। और उस वजह में इस वक्त रुकावट आ रही है कोविड-19 और उसके आफ्टर मैथ। इससे हम एक दूसरे को कैसे सपोर्ट कर सकते हैं? That is my part, is how do I get you more exposure? How do I get you to the larger audience? How do I help you? Even crafting it, कि भाई कैसे मजीद पहुंचा सकता है। I'm sure आपको पता ही है, एज अ सर्टिफाइड एंटरप्रेन्योर कोच मैं बहुत सारे बिजनेस ओनर्स की हेल्प करता हूँ इन टर्म्स ऑफ स्टोरी, क्राफ्टिंग, प्रेजेंटिंग और बिजनेस विजन और मिशन के हवाले से। तो यहाँ पे सिर्फ मैं आपको मीडिया कोचिंग या मीडिया की एक्सपोजर की हेल्प करना चाहता हूँ। अगर कोई भी जानने वाले, देखने वाले, सुनने वाले हैं, अगर वो कर रहे हैं या आपको किसी का पता है जो करना चाहते हैं, तो आई एम लुकिंग फॉरवर्ड टू हेल्प यू एंड हेल्पिंग देम एज वेल। तो इंशाल्लाह राब्ता कीजिएगा। आई जस्ट वांट टू सेंड अ क्विक नोट, क्योंकि मैं हमेशा वो और लोगों के साथ बातचीत होती रहती है, तो अपने लंदन लिविंग में नहीं बात हो रही थी, तो आई सेड लेट्स डू दैट एज वेल। तो इंशाल्लाह आपसे बात होती रहेगी और आपके साथ मुलाकातें होती रहेंगी। अल्लाह आपको अपनी हिफ्ज़ व अमान में रखे, और इंशाल्लाह हम आपसे दोबारा राब्ता करेंगे, और आपके कमेंट्स और आपकी सजेशन का इंतज़ार रहेगा कि हम कैसे आपको सपोर्ट करें और आप कैसे कम्युनिटी को सपोर्ट करें। अल्लाह हाफिज।
Welcome back. London Living with Rizwan Rashid, your host Rizwan Rashid, and my guest is Alka Sharma. Alka Sharma shared her life, how she has been bullied and have a relationship, moving different countries, and she still survived and now thriving. And now we want to know what it is. But before that, I know you must be thinking, how was Alka's wedding? Let's ask her. Alka, was your wedding like real South Asian Indian style, or was
Absolutely.
white wedding?
Absolutely, 100% South. Indian wedding. Yeah, definitely. I had the full works. I actually opted not to wear sari but a langa, so I wore a langa. Yes. And it was just beautiful. It absolutely was a beautiful ceremony that we had.
The henna, the
henna, exactly.
music.
Going around the fire 7 times.
Yeah.
I had the works because I said, you know what, I wanted that. I wanted to experience so I had the full works, walking around the fire, and my family there and everyone. So I wore a langa, but I actually had like 5 different changings of my outfits. But it was beautiful, yes.
So why I wanted to mention this, because some of you might be thinking, okay, this didn't work it out because she was not close to the culture or something. So she is close to the culture. She knew what is her culture. She knew how to adapt to it. So she did all that and didn't work it out. That was a different part of it. Now, what we know now, Alka, and that was my promise for you to the second half of it, to share with you how Alka transformed over the years and who she is now. Now, this Alka, what you are meeting today, is definitely a transformed woman. Why? Because she becomes student of Les Brown. You probably have seen her videos with Les Brown. She actually have number of books on it. Some of them she co-authored, And one of her book, I love the title of it, Cocoon to CEO. And she become an entrepreneur where she's starting to transform for life. So you are seeing the number of badges of honor she hold on her shoulder. Why? Because she believed in herself. So Alka, my first question is, I said a lot of things about you, and I'm really inspired by your life trajectory. After the fact, when you start believing in this, how does this transform? Like where this, like, you know, motivation, fitness, writing book, becoming a coach, where this came through while you were, we saw that earlier, you are just trying to get by, you're just trying to survive, you're just trying to get your pieces together for the world, and to have bread and roof for your kids, for yourself. And now we are seeing, now you are at offensive part of your life where you are like taking head on. Where did it started?
Okay, so Rizwan, this is where it gets spicy, because, you know, and then I mentioned earlier on, is that switching your mindset on, always learning. And what do I mean by switching your mindset on? Is always being, positive, have that positive mindset, always being optimistic. Now, I know your viewers might be saying, well, that's easier said than done. You know, I've gone through a traumatic relationship, or I'm going through a traumatic time in my life. That's easier said than done for you, Alka. How is that possible? And so, as I mentioned in the past segment, is that once we begin to believe in ourselves, belief is everything. And I'm here to say to you, I've been there, I've done it, I know what it felt like, and I know what you are going through, if that's what you're going through at the moment. And I'm here to say to you, it can be done, because the word possible, you know, is I am possible. So never accept defeat, because the moment we accept defeat, you're never going to accomplish anything. So then the moment, as I began to do a lot of internal work, I began to do a lot of soul searching. Who am I? Who is the person I want to become? Who is this person? And during the course of, it took me, to be realistic, it took me about 5 years to actually come out of the traumatic state that I was in, to really change myself around. Because when you are in that traumatic relationship, in that traumatic environment, you cannot think for yourself. I had no identity. I lost my identity. And so if your viewers are saying, well, it's easy for you, you've come out of that, you are thriving, I'm here to say to you, you can do it. The moment you say to yourself, I'm possible, that is it. You are halfway through to really accomplishing and setting yourself for what's to come, the greater things that are to come. So then, as I began to do a lot of soul searching, I said, you know what, things just came to me, that as I began to change my mindset, as I began to think positive, I was optimistic. And you have to be, especially when you have 2 small kids, you have no choice but to keep yourself, you know, above, even though internally you may be kind of melting a little bit, but in front of your kids, you can't show. As parents, you cannot show that. So as I began to then develop and overcome really what I was experiencing and expecting more out of life, things just came. And then I got into, a friend of mine suggested that I come and listen to Les Brown. And that's how I got into motivational, speakers. And over the course of time, even personal development, I was a student for the past 8 years of my life. I was, going to so many motivational speakers that were coming to Toronto. So I made that my mission to really change my mindset. And it's only by listening to people who have already accomplished, and what you want to accomplish is by setting and listening to, teachers and mentors and coaches.
Good point. Most of us think same way as Alka was saying. It was easy. How you did it, I can't. And it took a while. And as I mentioned, everybody has their own way of understanding. Will that work for me? Yes, it will, once you believe in yourself. And it took her 5 years. It may take somebody 1 or another 10. And I can easily relate to this, because when I started my own discovery, self-discovery, who I am, regardless of without any trauma or not, because I was looking for my soul searching, that why I'm doing what I'm doing, because I wanted to do and align myself to the life purpose. It took me 4 years while I'm meeting a lot of coaches and understanding who I truly am. But you actually, at a way different level, that you are finding that hard part of the life, and through that you find, okay, I need to learn who I am, because this is where the transformation is happening. This is where you're out of the victim mindset and becoming the conqueror mindset. This is, folks, if you're listening to us, you will understand now the mindset of a victim is gone, and the mindset of the conqueror is here in progress. And she's looking for mentors, coaches, trainers to absorb all the positivity and how to transform there. So 8 years you've been student of Les Brown, and then you started the book, and then you started a business. So what come first? So just walk us through the timeline that you joined a group where you want to transform, and then this is where the entrepreneurship came out.
Right. So I've been, so for 8 years, I wasn't a coach of Les Brown. I was, for 8 years, I was a student of personal development.
Okay.
Of personal development. So to develop oneself is to develop one's mind. And as I mentioned, for another woman, it may not take her longer time, but for me it took a long time. Why? Because I was in a relationship that was not conducive. The environment was not conducive. So when you're in that traumatic relationship, trauma is a big factor. Yeah. So for me, it took a long time. It took a long time to come out of that. But for other people, it might just take a month or two. Right? So that's why I just wanted to hone into that, and also hone into I've been a personal development student for the past 8 years. So then, yes.
Yeah.
So then coming back to your question is what happened? How am I thriving? How am I succeeding? How am I successful at this present time? Is then through my course, as I mentioned earlier on, I struggled with weight. Right, my self-confidence, self-esteem, and then I wanted to change my life around. So what did I do? I plugged the courage to walk into a gym, and that's where my confidence and everything changed for me. And so even now, I'm making it my mission that although I have today a thriving studio, where we don't judge you based on your how you look. It's not your body type. It's not, you may feel conscious, but we embrace you, the woman that you are, because everyone's beautiful inside and out. So we welcome you. And today, I do have a thriving studio that, I just love my clients. Each and every one of them are doing really well. And I'm very grateful to have a studio, and I'm very grateful to have the clients that I have, because each and every one of them, are doing exceedingly well. So what I'm trying to say is that, the studio is, thriving. So the studio came first because it was based off of my journey. I was lacking self-confidence, and the weight was a challenging factor in my life. So it was a studio, and then the book came.
Okay. So Folks, ladies, especially if you are listening to us, you understand now this person, Alka, is starting to thrive. She's starting to bloom. She's starting to turn from cocoon to becoming a CEO. Then she started looking at other people, how I can move forward from this life to the next one. So she hired a coach, she attended seminars, and be able to more into personal development. And with personal development, she figured out who she truly are, where was the pain. And folks, if anybody's listening to the entrepreneurial world, this is the key moment, that whenever you be able to eliminate a pain or add a player in someone's life, and this is the business idea you got, because this is where she have seen that there was a pain in her life when she was bullied at earlier. So she wanted to look good. She wanted to look good for herself, live better life. And that transformation came through the body, and transformation came through being fitness. And that led her to the entrepreneurial world, starting Alka Total Fitness, a boutique club where she's helping other people. This is amazing. So, and a beam of light coming through now, we're seeing Alka as an entrepreneurial world, that you started Alka Total Fitness, where you help other women give that ability to look good, feel good, and enjoy the life, so they become more confident. This Alka Total Fitness is in existence for last more than 5 years, I believe.
5 years, yeah. It was actually 5 years, September the 8th.
Aha.
Yes.
So in 5 years, there's so many lives you must have touched during that time. So many people came through and asked you for help, or gone through your studio to transform themselves.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, my clients, they've all transitioned. I remember a couple of my clients, I could just give you examples. One of my clients, Sarah, the first day she came in, she hadn't exercised. She was lethargic. She had aches in her back and her knees. And she, wasn't confident in who she was, she would say to me, because she hadn't exercised, and she was slightly overweight. But so anyway, so when we sat down together, we began to formulate a plan for her. And Rizwan, in the first month of joining at the studio, she was just dedicated to her workouts. She would come every day. And with that, she would bring a protein shake. So what I always say to my clients is that, fitness is a journey. Always be happy. Always be open-minded to whatever workouts is out there, because you never know. As some of my clients, they say, I see, Sarah doing handstand. Well, if you want to try, just be open to it. So, it's always, fitness is a journey, not a destination. So with Sarah, for example, as I was mentioning, she would come with a protein shake. She just lost, in that 2 months of just joining the gym, she had lost weight. She had lost inches of her waist. She was toned. She was feeling confident. And that's what I want to share with your viewers, is that, choose a workout that's in line, that resonates with you, your personality, because that's where true results will come, and the results are going to be long-lasting and sustainable.
Wonderful. Now, as an entrepreneur, it must be hard too, because it's not an easy way of earning or developing or sharing with others. So entrepreneurship is hard. So Alka, for the people who wanted to be an entrepreneur, especially in a South Asian community, what do you have faced in the last 5 years, especially in your earlier part of it? What did you face in terms of entrepreneurship, to maintain, to start up, to keep moving forward?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, even as I was mentioning, life is never a straight line. Life is always you're always gonna face roadblocks, challenges, people saying, no, you can't do this. People are gonna say, oh, I don't think this is for you. What I want to share, the key that has gotten me through today as a successful entrepreneur, having a thriving, a successful studio, is I never gave up. I never gave up. I never listened to the noise, whether it be my parents, whether it be anyone. I do not listen to the noise around me. And people who want to have their own business, I would say go ahead. But just remember, when you are facing roadblocks, that for me, it wasn't easy. I could have easily given up, because the first moment I was to get permits from the city of Markham. I had to get permits to build the studio, to build my dream. Now, if I had said, oh my gosh, I have to get permits, and this was like, 2 weeks, it took me a month of getting permits from many different places. But if I had said to myself that, oh my gosh, this is so hard, now do I have to go get permits? Man, I would have completely lost my marbles. But I said, you know what? It doesn't matter. Think of it as a puzzle. Think of it as a fun experience. And honestly, Riz, it was a fun thing. I was looking at it from that standpoint. This is a fun exercise that I have to get permits. I have to look for contractors. But then what happened was something that was a miracle. And now this may not happen to everyone, but to me, it happened. And in the midst of me talking to myself in the sense that where are all these contractors going to come from to build my dream? Mm-hmm. There was a woman in my building who came to my rescue who said, I could find contractors for you. And Rizwan, that's where everything began to then start to take into action.
Wow. Folks, this is the true example, which I always talk about it. And this is now, this was not scripted. I'm really getting excited. Why? Because most of us get stuck in the how part of it, not why. When your why is clear, how, when, where, who, everything comes along. Yeah. Only the why has to be clear. And now Alka just shared with you. This was total unscripted, because it's just revelation coming along that she said, I wanted to have that total fitness. And when the whys become, all the hurdles coming through becomes unnecessary. You won't even budge. You won't have an issue with them, no matter what it is. They asked me to come tomorrow. They asked me next week. They asked me to, it's going to take a longer. It's okay, because I'm going to get it through. I'm not going to give it up. And then she's trying to figure out who's going to build it, and no idea what the contract is. This is relatable to all the entrepreneurs who move from intrapreneur, from a working life, becoming an entrepreneur. Then they find all that different. And now Alka just shared with you that her why was clear. She doesn't know the how, who is going to do it, when they're going to do it. She finds something, because God is ready to give when you are ready to dream. And when you dream, it is going to happen. Wonderful.
Exactly. And that is so beautiful, because as the saying goes, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. So for me, I was ready. I was on the mission to make my dream come true, because the studio was it came from a vision that I had. As I said, the studio was built. The vision came because I was facing that in my own journey, my own parallel journey, being, weight challenge, self-confidence, self-esteem. And I said, you know what, I want to build a studio. I want to have a fitness studio, because as I transitioned and built myself physically and with confidence in every which way, I said, you know what, I want to have a studio that I could empower other women who come in, and I want to embrace them, that it does not matter your size. We embrace you for who you are, the beautiful, courageous women that we are. And in the midst of that, I just never gave up, because I never gave up on the challenges, on the roadblocks I was facing each and every day. And as you said, as when I did not give up, higher above was watching and saying, Alka, you are a courageous woman. You are going through hurdles, roadblocks, challenges, but you are not accepting defeat. Now, as an entrepreneur, as to have a business is not an easy thing. Now, the moment, even as an immigrant into the Western countries that we go into, if we say we want to start a business, but, you know, we are facing so many of the challenges behind us, we may not have support. Like I had zero support from anyone. But I was on this mission. I was in a clear mission. And as you said, my mission, my why was crystal clear, that in front of me, I could see my dream being built. And as I was crystal clear, and we have to be crystal clear, we cannot be halfway house and say, okay, you know what, I want it now, but you know what, I don't think I'm willing to work. That will not work. And I'm here to tell you that cannot work, right, Rizwan? It cannot work. Yeah. You have to be crystal clear. You have to have that why. And your why is bigger than your environment. It's stronger than your willpower. Your why is actually stronger than your willpower. And once that is strong, everything else in your life will be strong too.
Beautiful. So this is where we're talking about when your why is clear, your dream is so vivid that you can feel it, you can see it, you can touch it. Other people start seeing that dream, and then that's where the whole team, tribe coming together. Alka, this is fantastic to walk through that life trajectory and be able to see how a person, especially as an immigrant, as a woman, be able to survive, to thrive, to succeed, coming along. So now, what kind of a piece of advice you wanted to leave for mostly the women of South Asian descendant here in North America, if they wanted to start as an entrepreneurship? What piece of advice you want to give?
Your why has to be crystal clear. First of all, your why needs to resonate with you. So whatever you are out to do, whatever outset that you have. So as an entrepreneur, you want to have a business, and that's fantastic. Your why has to be the biggest reason why are you doing it? Why are you getting into a business? So as long as your why is crystal clear, and nothing should faze you, because as long as you believe in you, as long as you have the strength, the tenacity to fight for what you believe in, nothing is ever going to stop you. Nothing is ever going to stop you. So that's a mic drop. I'm going to leave that there, Rizwan.
Like Les Brown said, this is my story. I'm sticking to it. Thank you so much, Alka, for gracing your presence here at London Living Show, because I'm so inspired by your story, and I love to share it with all of our people, especially South Asian people, so they can connect with that as an immigrant and how they can survive to thrive part of it. It's an amazing seeing you, and God bless you, and God bless you with all that future filled with happiness and prosperity for you and your total.
Thank you, Rizwan. It's such an honor to be on your show again. You are just doing absolutely fantastic. I'm so truly proud of everything that you're doing. It's truly quite amazing.
And this was London Living with Rizwan Rashid, and your host Rizwan Rashid, and my guest was Alka Sharma. She shared her heart-wrenching story of an immigrant, a child immigrant moving to a different world and starting a new life, faced all those atrocities in her childhood and then in a broken relationship. And then she took on a big challenge of becoming an entrepreneur. What I wanted to leave with you is her finding why, her true identity, her true self, And that was the leading point where she was able to thrive. When she knew herself, when she connected with her true identity, everything becomes easy. Are you true to yourself? Have you discovered your own identity? Have you let your children find their true identity? Because in this true identity, they are going to survive. They are going to not only survive, but thrive. As an immigrant, this is an utmost duty of me as a parent, as an immigrant, as well as you. If you are watching this, you have that ability and a responsibility to help transform not only your life, but the life of your children. As this story is a good example for us to look forward and how we can move forward. Because if we get stuck in any of the atrocities of our life, the whole vision of us moving forward, moving from a different continent to a different world, new culture, new weather, new society, becomes obsolete, becomes useless if we're not thriving. So I want to leave with you this hope, this prayer, that may Allah bless you with kind-hearted and a true identity, who you are, to thrive in this new world, in this new status as an immigrant, in your life and your life of your children. I look forward for more story that can help other people see the brighter side of the world. Until next time, keep watching London Living with Rizwan. Take care. Allah Hafiz.